I'm not sure what the city's doing, but they don't act like they really care about the taxpayers.
Christine Taylor Butler says the county should be ashamed of the recent assessment.
I think it's bad. We did new gutters because of all the rain.
Her property value almost doubled. She calls that unfair, inaccurate, and just plain wrong. She's been helping older neighbors navigate the appeals process too.
We have neighbors who are going to lose their house.
What she found is jaw-dropping, but it certainly takes some legwork. Here's why. The county assesses your land and your house individually and then combines them together for an overall bill. You have to log on to the parcel finder and separate out the information. It's a pain, but you can do that. Here's what Butler found. Her friend's lot or land is now valued at $112,000. But check out the rest of the neighborhood. The neighbor behind has the same size lot. It's only $15,300. And a lot that is even bigger is valued at $7,200. And then the rest of the neighborhood, well, it looks like a game of chance. Maybe homeowners got lucky, but others were obviously nailed. Down the street, a bigger lot, $7,000, and then it almost looks like somebody played Yahtzee with the values all over. I mean, how does something like this happen where it's so completely off?
We look at the total parcel, and then we have to divide it into the land and to the improvement. That doesn't mean that our overall value is not correct. There may be an allocation that needs to be corrected between the house and the land, but it does not mean that the overall value is incorrect.
The minute she saw anomalies, she's coming out and saying there was an 18% average increase. The minute she saw anomalies that are 100%, 300%, she should have put on the brakes and done an audit on just those properties, and she didn't do that.
To your admission, there is a mistake here.
Today, the whole mess went before the county legislature, where the assessor defended her work, saying she will investigate mistakes. Our reports were referenced during the meeting. We showed you how million-dollar properties were getting quite the deal in taxes, and we revealed how residential lots were nailed and some commercial lots escaped higher taxes even though they were all the same size.
She's a county assessor. I'm a supporter. I appointed her, and I'm going to stand behind her.
Are you concerned about the quality of the assessment with what you've heard from people?
Well, I mean, assessment is there's no real way to say everything's going to be accurate. You know, you have over 300,000 parcels, and we do the best we can to evaluate each one.
We're not going to stand for it.
Homeowners promise they'll fight out of whack assessments.
And I see you shaking your head.
And vote out politicians if they just stand by and watch them struggle.
The West Side, Ivanhoe, Hyde Park.
All of this mess has caught the attention of attorney Mandy Snell, who's organizing a class action lawsuit to stop this assessment. More than 200 people have already signed up.
I'm asking that they reassess all the properties in Jackson County is what I'm asking for. They've done a horrible job and they're just completely inconsistent and make no sense at all.
She's asking a judge to step in on the following grounds. Equal protection clause. That means all people get equal protection under laws, and that includes tax laws too. The Missouri Constitution also contains a uniformity clause. Snead argues that assessment hikes are completely uneven, and she's looking at the Missouri Civil Rights Act and Fair Housing Act. That's because the neighborhoods hit the hardest are minority groups.
Oldest Mexican-American communities in the city, in the county, in the state.
I agree.
And you're getting ready to remove it.
This is hurting diversity.
Butler and her neighbors plan to sign up.
It's a city at war. It's a county at war with its own residents who have been here for decades. It's replacing us with this new, wealthier model, and I'm crying foul.
Keep sending me everything you find in your neighborhoods. You can email me or you can message me on Facebook or Twitter. Angie Racono, KCTV 5 News. We've heard from homeowners who are paying double and even triple in property taxes. I saw one bill that jumped 473%. Tonight, meet the people who aren't saying anything because they're getting quite the steal. Taxes are way up.
I think it's crazy. It's doubled in price.
Homeowners are speaking out.
Oh, the big sticker shocker.
But we uncovered truly lucky homeowners and landlords who have no reason to complain. They're getting one heck of a deal. Take this house that recently sold for $785,000. The county has a different opinion. They pegged the fair market value at around $255,000. And the year before that, the value was just around $70,000. Years ago, this triplex sold for more than $1 million. It was actually $1.2 million. Here's a peek inside and the view. No tax complaints here because the county says the value is around $265,000. That's quite a deal. And that's the story all over Jackson County. Some property owners are breathing a sigh of relief, but others are in crisis.
What are they going to do? They're going to lose their homes.
None of this makes sense.
Realtor Curtis J. points out many homeowners never dreamed taxes could skyrocket so fast. True market values were ignored for years. And then the county played catch up overnight in some cases.
So because they failed for decades to increase property taxes, people should not be penalized because the county didn't do a good job on their end.
Take this house. For the past 2 years, the county said the value was $50,000. Open the letter, it's now $214,000. So the taxes quadrupled.
Here's another fun fact. This house is valued almost at the same rate as that $1.2 million triplex. In fact, they're neighbors. It's all on the same street.
Taxes should be capped. The county and the city, any government agency, should not be allowed to increase taxes 200%, 300%, all of a sudden overnight. It is unfair. It is a surprise for property owners. A lot of people are living paycheck to paycheck.
Jay says the urban core and the west side were nailed. He thinks homeowners can make a good argument if they choose to fight.
So you're trying to say that my value increased by 250%, but yet I've done nothing to my property. I've done no addition to the property. There's no updating that was done to the property, and yet you're still claiming that it increased by 200%? That in itself doesn't make any sense.
Tomorrow night, we bring your concerns straight to the top.
I was a little shocked in some cases as to the increases that they have, but I am bound by statute.
How was this assessment done, and how can you fight back? Angie Racono, KCTV 5 News. If you go to sell your house and work with a realtor, they use something called the MLS system. That's a database of all home sales. It contains pictures and details of sales. But guess what? Jackson County didn't renew the subscription to this service. So during the middle of this assessment, they lost access to this database. But the department just moved forward and appraisers winged it.
I would have no clue how an appraisal is done without MLS data.
Curtis J. says MLS data is everything. It's how realtors and appraisers determine home values because it's a wealth of information.
I'm actually stunned that they didn't have MLS access. That information is critical in assessing properties.
A whistleblower told me the county appraiser's office lost access to the MLS data system more than 9 months ago. The subscription just ended. That was hard to believe, so I checked. And the Kansas City Regional Association of Realtors confirmed that's true. The Jackson County Appraiser's Office no longer has access to the MLS database and hasn't for quite some time. Instead, the county worked with complementary data feed, meaning they had spreadsheets that revealed sales prices and limited information on homes. For example, the county would see a 4-bedroom, 3-bath house sold for $200,000. If they paid for MLS data, they would have had pictures and see if closing deals were cut, like the house sells for $200,000, but the homeowner agrees to pay closing costs and pay for new carpet and paint. The MLS database would also reveal homes in that neighborhood that didn't sell. Realtors say all of this helps shape an accurate picture of what a property is worth. But Jackson County didn't pay for the service. The cost was less than $2,000.
It's mind-boggling, that they just didn't pay the money to get access to MLS. It's stunning that they could even come up with a correct, accurate value because they don't know the market value. The market value is on MLS.
New property values have sparked outrage across the county as angry homeowners question how the county crunched the numbers and determined new values. A whistleblower says part of the answer is plain and simple. It's simply a lack of information.
The county assessor put the blame on the Kansas City Realtors Association, saying they changed membership requirements so the office no longer qualified to participate. But that is not really true, because guess who qualifies and could have joined? Gail McCann Beatty. She's a licensed real estate appraiser in the state of Missouri. She could have signed up and have access for less than $2,000. I double checked. The bottom line is she didn't. She chose to take the limited free information. Angie Racono, KCTV 5 News. Sherry Wichman gained 1,000 square feet of living space, but there's no renovation and there's no addition. Wichman blames her roof and now questions how many other assessments are wrong.
I know I don't live in 3,300 square feet.
Sherry Wichman's house is actually 2,300 square feet.
That is big bucks. That's another house.
Here's the original MLS data on file. It shows 2,365 square feet. The county didn't want to pay $2,000 for that MLS system. They winged it and used pictures. Look what happened. They now think the Wichman home has 3,357 square feet. It doesn't.
My house has been the same since 1960. You know, somebody explain this. Somebody explain this.
The only thing that changed here is the county's perspective. Appraisers viewed properties from the sky and calculated square footage from above. Sherry thinks her roof with large eaves and her front porch threw things off.
You don't live under that. That's not living space. You know, I'm not going to invite you coffee, you know, under the eave in the bushes.
Here's what happened to this property. The value shot up from $260,000 to $348,000.
And they didn't check it. They made this change to people's official records, and they didn't send out any notification to say, here's what it was and here's what it is. Do you agree?
Sherry found the mistake because she went digging. She clicked and clicked until she got property details, extra steps that many homeowners don't do.
I think the files in the city are wrong.
Christine Taylor Butler put in the extra work too and discovered the same mistake. The county gave her an extra 1,000 square feet to her home. She blames the side porch. She's now suing in a class action lawsuit.
It's a county at war with its own residents who have been here for decades.
Both homeowners are furious with the quality of assessments and the current decision to just stick with it, even though the list of problems keeps growing.
And why should we be forced out? Why should we be forced out? You know? I've lived in the city all my life. Give me a break. No. Where do you go?
Here's a look at the concerns that have been directly reported to our unit. Assessments are uneven, even on the same street. Neighborhoods have been hit extremely hard, but not others. The county stopped using MLS data, and that came from a whistleblower. That's true. Assessments were also sent out at the last minute. I've heard from a family that just got their notice this weekend. You really should be getting them in May. And tonight we are going to add bad calculations to that list. They are off for some homes, so you might want to check yours. Angie Racono, KCTV 5 News.
So I opened it. I was watching the Royals game. I almost fell out of my chair.
Oh, the big sticker shock.
Property taxes have shot up, way up. We found modest homes being nailed and fancy homes getting deals. Today, the county legislature had enough, releasing a statement that recent assessments have numerous grave errors. They mentioned whistleblower reports where KCTV 5 revealed the county no longer uses MLS data. They also point out there's no way to complete the review process in time for 22,000 homeowners. And finally, they say surprising current residents with such a huge increase in 1 year's time is wrong. Christine Taylor Butler emailed KCTV 5 about what she found in her neighborhood.
I'm not sure what the city's doing, but they don't act like they really care about the taxpayers. I mean, they're really all in it for the developers.
This made no sense to Christine, and it didn't make any sense to me. So I wondered if someone at the top could help me out.
I wanted to show you something that we found at 36th and Charlotte on the assessment. Do you have a moment to talk about it?
No, I don't. If you ask regular questions, I'll talk to you, but not like you're asking.
With information?
Frank White continues to back his troubled assessor, tweeting from his baseball account. Apparently, Jackson County legislators have put out a statement asking me to halt the assessment process. So they want me to break state law because they lack the political will to do what's right. It's that lack of political will that keeps the county from moving forward.
What did you think when you saw that map and you saw who got the breaks, the 14.9%?
I had the worst thoughts, naturally, that it was systematic, that it didn't happen by accident. That came to my mind. I still believe that it's not an accident. It's such a big concentration of a burden on so few.
Paul Rojas has lived in this home for more than 50 years. He did not see a 14.9% increase on his taxes. His shot up 450%. It's the same for many neighbors.
This burden is going to be tough on a lot of people.
Paul laid the floor inside his house a piece at a time and even installed this bay window. But look around. Woven into the fabric of this hardworking neighborhood are now million-dollar homes.
That house, right, you can see it for the trees. It's about a $2 million house. This one over here, I know it's $1 million house.
Things have changed.
We should not be punished for staying here when it was tough. When everybody was running away, we stayed. Now that it's stable, I want it.
Paul wonders how to get through to the people with power.
You know, we can bombard them with emails and stuff, but bombarding, say for example, Frank White, he doesn't read his email. That's what they tell me, that people who are near him. He doesn't read his emails, you know, and so if we make his machine run out of paper every day, you know, it wouldn't make much difference. I think letters, I guess, would pile up in the office, I guess, and stuff. But phone calls, he's not around, he's not busy, he's not answering, he's too busy, the line is busy or whatever. Well, I know how that works.
All right, I'm asking you to introduce a motion to fix this.
Paul was at a meeting this morning where homeowners hoped there would be relief. There was a plan to cap rising assessments. The man behind it was trying to explain the problems he had found.
My mic, you have 5 minutes.
But the people in power would only grant him 5 minutes.
We are dealing with a situation here that the assessments have been done biasly and discriminatory.
Preston Smith represents Blue Springs Schools. He has research showing clear patterns in this assessment that are tough to ignore.
The black and white issue is the people on the west side that got away from paying taxes and the other folks in the inner city that were targeted.
While the county claims they carefully evaluate each and every home, it's clear they have a favorite number.
And what was shown today on the screen and the numbers, 74,300
And 11.
and 11. All of them with an identical 14.9%.
What are the odds?
What are the odds of that happening, you know? Man, you know, if you're that good at it, you could win the lottery every week.
Paul has to laugh, but he knows this is serious. Quadrupling tax bills could change this neighborhood. Some people could be forced to leave. It's the high price that wasn't discussed during today's meeting.
The proposal is tabled, which means consideration of it is postponed.
Where people with the power to change things didn't publicly ask for any further information. And the assessor who is in charge was never questioned about the data that is now emerging. Paul believes there's really only one option left for anyone with a conscience.
I think it would be incumbent upon themselves to say, hold it a minute, this is totally flawed. You know, as hard as we hate to do it, we need to scrap this and do it over and do it right.
Is there a motion to adjourn?
We'll keep you posted if that happens.
All right, we are adjourned.
Angie Racono, KCTV 5 News.
We've been reviewing the county's emails, and one from a father of 3 stood out. I think you'll see why. William Mashburn is demanding information. He's polite, and then things take a turn because no one responds. Most people are able to get through a day without leaving others wanting to file class action lawsuits against them. This seems to be a real challenge for you people. I hope you had a safe 4th of July celebration and were able to keep all of your fingers. You'll need those to send that email about my informal review that was promised 3 weeks ago. Chop, chop. No one responds, so then he sends this. What's the dill, Pickles? It's mid-July, but I might need a new coat to handle your cold shoulder.
I want an answer, so what's the deal, Pickles? You know, answer.
Meet William Mashburn. He's a father of 3 who lives in this house. The county raised his taxes 43%. The value went from $361,000 to $502,000. No one ever peeked inside. No physical inspection took place. The county maintains they can legally increase a home's value by more than 15% if they physically review photos. We'll get back to that.
I immediately started getting on the phone, calling appraisers, because I knew that if everyone got a letter like this, then those appraisers were going to be booked.
Mashburn paid $450 for a licensed appraiser to come to his house. The appraiser went inside, took pictures, documented details, found comps, and wrote a report. You know, an actual appraisal. It's 26 pages long and contains a sales analysis. But the county rejected the final number the appraiser reached and pushed back, saying the appraiser's methods were wrong.
Oh, it's going horribly, horribly wrong. Gail McCann accused my appraiser of fraud, more or less, which is hilarious. She's the one facing a class action lawsuit.
So I tracked down the appraiser and questioned him. The first thing was, how long have you been doing this? And the answer, 15 years. Do you know Mr. Mashburn? No. Then I asked him, did you screw up here? And the appraiser defended his work. He noted this home does not have full central air and there are cracks in the walls in the basement. He says this is a home you could really invest in and fix up, and it would be worth those higher sales. But right now, this house is just not in that condition. Maybe someday, but not right now. Now, of course, the county wouldn't know these things because they never looked inside.
And the appraiser points out he used full MLS, meaning he's seeing inside the homes with higher values. The county doesn't do that. Bottom line, the appraiser says he has a more complete perspective here. So the appraiser valued the home at $350,000, nowhere near the county's assessment.
And I would like for you to explain why I'm wrong and why you were correct.
William Mashburn did a sunshine request where he asked the county for the specific information used in his assessment. You can do the same. More on that at the end of our report. He wanted comparables, so here's the spreadsheet sent to Mashburn. It shows nearby homes, price, and square footage, but they mistakenly smashed 2 different subdivisions together, and no one seemed to catch it. About half of the Rockville Place homes are 24 miles away in Grain Valley. If you look at the date the homes were built, it's pretty obvious. Half of the comparables are 100 years old or more, and the others are only about 15 years old. Let's show you what the county did on the map. They looked at comparable sales of Rock Hill Place here and over here. It's not supposed to work that way. And by the way, the county included 3 sales that were after the January 1st deadline, so it shouldn't be on here either. So this comparable spreadsheet raises concerns.
This whole thing this is a new level.
So who made the errors? Well, normally we wouldn't call out an employee, but this spreadsheet was authored by Assessment Director Gail McCann Beatty herself.
Gail McCann Beatty is the one at the top of this department who's overseeing this entire disaster.
If you are appealing, ask for all of the information used in your assessment. Ask for the photos, the comps, and ask for the date and time of the desktop review of your property. That's what smart lawyers plan to do, and they shared their advice with us. Straight ahead.
It's going to be very costly to build a department, but that's the only solution.
Hear from experts on how Jackson County can fix this mess. This all started when we realized a huge Walmart in Lee Summit was on the books for $350,000. That's ridiculous. The county is brushing it off as a website error that has been fixed. However, we are finding more problems. The county's own records reveal discrepancies depending on where you look for information. Data expert Preston Smith has been working with our investigative unit, and he says what he's discovered is data corruption.
The assessor's office used a 20-year software program that they had never ever used before to make to set values. It's the whole database. At its core, at the core of all their data, they're corrupt. It's faulty. It's a flawed assessment.
Preston Smith disagrees that Walmart is a website error because it's not isolated. We'll have much more on that tonight at 10. Angie Racono, KCTV 5 News.
A judge is being asked to step in and stop the collection of taxes above what homeowners paid in 2018. This lawsuit directly names the collector because she is collecting those massive increases. Gail McCambady is named because she spearheaded this troubled assessment. She's the director. The lawsuit unpacks all the nasty truths behind the property taxes homeowners are expected to pay. There was a lack of physical inspections, and assessments jumped by more than 15% anyway. The county simply used pictures. It highlights computer and data problems, and it points out emails that show county leaders were baffled at how they reached those values in the first place. The county now admits they discovered 8,600 unread emails. 3,800 of them are new appeals, meaning those homeowners have waited about 6 months to review taxes and were expected to pay large increases anyway. The biggest legal punch is the fact that 28% of all properties jumped 14.9%. KCTV 5 first revealed that fact back in July, and we showed you how that looked on a map. The 14.9% increases are in red. Geography is tough to ignore. The new lawsuit argues what happened was illegal and unconstitutional, that the 14th Amendment was violated. Different people were treated differently. The people hit the hardest in this assessment live in the predominantly minority neighborhoods. They are African American and Hispanic. Angie Racono, KCTV 5 News.
This time, the Board of Equalization is being sued and the 3 main voting members. If you appealed your property taxes, these are the people who can change the value. And they've done that for a lot of homeowners. But this filing says they need to do it for everyone in the county because the recent assessment was so flawed.
This new petition argues the BOE certainly knows how bad the recent assessment was and failed to do their jobs. They have been presented numerous plans to cap increases across the county or in certain sections.
Proposals that are out there.
But never even took a vote.
We could implement if we chose to.
Now a judge is being asked to declare the recent assessment discriminatory and deeply flawed and force the BOE to fix it.
We need a fix.
It's brought on behalf of several homeowners, including an 80-year-old widow. Her property taxes jumped from $54,000 to $246,000 in a single year. That's a 352% increase. Jackson County's own records reveal they have a picture from 2005. It's likely a physical inspection was never done. This homeowner fought and won her tax battle. But the lawsuit points out all of the other homeowners who haven't appealed and still need help. The petition outlines a broken and confusing system they all navigated. It points out the original notice said, "This is not a bill." Many homeowners couldn't afford an appraisal. Notices were only sent in English, meaning those who were not native English speakers were at a disadvantage. Many assessments were lost and never reached homeowners. And then there are those 8,600 emails sent in by homeowners the county recently found and admit they never read. The petition contains exhibits reminding a judge of all of the other problems which are widely known, including that 14.9% cap that was used throughout much of the county, but not in predominantly minority neighborhoods. Those homeowners faced much more aggressive increases, and new information shows those massive increases failed to meet industry standards.
We have posted all of the petitions and filings from this assessment mess online so you can read them. And there is a ton of information being presented to the judge, which might interest you if you are fighting your taxes. The hope is for a judge to quickly step in and order the BOE to do something. We will keep you posted. Angie Racono, KCTV 5 News.